markets are focused on the U.S. consumer price inflation data that will be due later today. It's like when the U.S. sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold. So all eyes are watching what the U.S. inflation data will be. Is it actually going there, especially with the 7 rate hikes of 2022? Over here in Nigeria in 2022, we had 5 rate hikes. The next MPC meeting is this month in just a few weeks' time. Will the central bank increase interest rates again? We've seen inflation data, at least country in last year, increase in the last data that we had from the National Bureau of Statistics tells us that inflation rose to 21.09% in November. Is it 21.09 or 21.47? But in the 21% range. Yeah, so many figures in this brain, but it's within the 21% range. That's 21.47, yes, for November, just before we went home for Christmas. And we've seen that gradual increase from about 15% in January of 2022 to about 21% in December of 2022. What will inflation data be for December? Many analysts have said that it will increase because of course, the festivities in December and what have you. But the National Bureau of Statistics has the last say on that, and we will get the inflation data, I think, soon for December, and that would, give the monetary authority some kind of perspective on how they will manage interest rates moving forward. But I'm talking about our interest rates in the country. The last interest rate that the MPC did increase in the range of 16%. We know that even banks will increase, of course, their lending rates to customers. But that's not what we'll be looking at today. Today on the program, it's still, we are still in the New Year mode, and January, of course, is known for a lot of people will be making New Year resolutions. You will try to head off certain things. Today, we'll be talking about achieving your financial goals this year. I also do know that financial goals differ from person to person, but there's some general tips that we can actually take away. Today we'll be doing that on the show, at least in the spirit of the new year. We're just starting the new year, so you'll be able to get your map right, or even your compass. It's will move you in the right direction. But let's get started with the business news. Nigerian bank deposits increased by 6.92 trillion naira from 36.13 trillion naira at the end of October 2021 to 43.05 trillion naira in 2022. This was stated in the personal statements of the members of the Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee. It is anticipated that continued credit expansion, particularly to industries that increase output, will spur economic activity even more. However, continued regulatory vigilance is necessary to mitigate any potential crystallization of credit risk in the financial system, given the lingering economic risk. The House of Representatives have passed 3 significant maritime measures that are currently awaiting Senate approval in in an effort to improve operational efficiency in the Nigerian maritime and port industry. The proposals are known as the Cabotage Bill, the Merchant Shipping Bill, and the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, or NIMASA Bill. According to the chairperson of the House Committee on Maritime Safety, Education and Administration, Honorable Linda Chuba Ikpazo, she clarified that the measures had been changed and then passed as a result, noting that the legislation had been approved just before Christmas. She stated that following the conclusion of the parliamentary processes, the new laws will be made public. The German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development will contribute 2.85 million euros to the Standards and Trade Development Facility over a 4-year period, 2022 to 2025. Dr. Bettina Waldman, Germany's ambassador to the WTO, explained that Germany's contribution to the STDF would enhance food safety systems by lowering trade barriers and trade costs in developing nations. She stated that Germany's Federal Ministry of Food and Agriculture contributed 150,000 euros to the STDF in 2022. She also mentioned that the funding would strengthen the STDF's knowledge platform, which links distributors from agricultural health, trade and development to identify and disseminate good practices. Dr. Afolabio Lowokere, who is the Managing Director and Chief Economist at Analyst Data Services and Resources, has asserted that each budget released has a significant transition idea to support growth and actualization. Furthermore, he urges the government to implement fiscal consolidation in the economy.
For most times, the year of the election, we always have in transition. So it's a way of saying we are transiting from one maybe government to another. And also may also be a way of showing that we are transiting from a very low level to a better level for the country. But when it comes to fiscal consolidation, I think that is where one day has to look at are we speaking economics or politics? Because in the real sense, fiscal consolidation in economics can be described as government policies that are intended to reduce deficits and then reduce accumulation of debts. That is like an economic definition of consolidation. Whether that is what we are doing is a big question. In the short term, of course, that is not what we are doing.
The Security and Exchange Commission, which is Nigeria's apex capital market regulator, has begun fully enforcing a regulatory framework that requires mutual fund managers to hold clients' investment assets under independent custody. Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Lamido Yuguda, stated that efforts to strengthen investors' protection and increase market confidence included full enforcement of the custody requirement on all mutual funds. He added that the Commission mandated that rule as that should also apply to all discretionary and non-discretionary portfolios and products to ensure the protection of investors' funds in the fund management space after a thorough review of the status of privately managed funds. According to Yuguda, the Commission also completed a comprehensive on-site inspection exercise of the 95 registered fund managers to ensure that both the public and private funds registered by the Commission are operated in accordance with the relevant rules and regulations. 2 days after expressing fears about the wave of general insecurity across the country, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared its decision to proceed with the conduct of the February, March, January elections, presenting the register of voters to chairmen and secretaries of Nigeria's 18 registered political parties in Abuja. INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, said the commission has been bolstered by assurances by Nigeria's defense, security and intelligence architecture that it would ensure a conducive environment for the polls. Professor Yakubu stated that with only 44 days till the general elections, the Commission has effectively implemented 11 of the 14 operations on the elections timeline and schedule. He mentioned also that 93.4 million new voters were added to the previous register, resulting in the preliminary register of 93.5 million, which was presented to Nigerians for claims and objections as required by the law. According to data released by the Nigerian Interbank, Nigeria recorded a total of 4.8 million new bank verification numbers, that's BVNs, in 2022. During the review period, the total number of registered bank verification numbers in the country rose to 56.5 million. According to NIBSS, this is a significant increase over the 51.7 million registered BVNs as of December 2021. The NIBSS noticed that the 2022 figures showed a slowdown in the BVN database growth when compared to 2021. Meanwhile, the database had grown by 6 million from 45.7 million in December 2020 to 51.7 million active bank accounts in the country. While active bank accounts data for 2022 have yet to be released, the NIBSS said the figure is expected to be higher than the previous year's 133.5 million, being that there is still a wide gap between the registered BVN and the number of bank accounts. Moving ahead, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese pushes for a security treaty between Australia and Papua New Guinea that would be based on deep trust and address priorities of law and order, challenges strengthening the justice system, rule of law and defense ties.
This can be a decisive decade for peace, prosperity, unity and security in the Indo-Pacific. As two big Pacific Ocean states, Australia and PNG must work as equals with our fellow Pacific states to build a stronger, safer, more secure region. All of us have a part to play in realising that vision.
Britain's Economic Secretary to the Treasury, Andrew Griffiths, stated that Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's economic plan is lending confidence to financial markets that Britain can withstand a difficult economic environment ahead. The reforms aim to make financial markets work more efficiently through faster trade settlements and more appropriate regulation and coordinated development of fintech and cryptocurrency market with other financial capitals.
That we are back to stability, we're open for business, there's clear political leadership. The Prime Minister set out his objectives for 2023, halving inflation, getting the economy back to growth and debt reduction over the medium term.
U.S. flights are slowly beginning to resume departures Okay, let me take that again. U.S. flights are slowly beginning to resume departures, and a ground stop was lifted after the Federal Aviation Administration, as the FAA, scrambled to fix a system outage on Wednesday that had forced a halt to all U.S. departing flights. More than 5,400 flights had been delayed and 900 cancelled, according to the FlightAware website. As officials said, it will take hours to recover from the halt to flights. And that's it for the business headlines at this point. Let's quickly take a break, and when we return, I'll be running you through the numbers for the day. We'll definitely start from the NGX, our local boss, the midweek trade. I'll be giving you more when we come back from the break. Don't forget to join us on all our social media platforms. You can tweet or tweet at me on Twitter, Moneyline TV, Nancy Lo-Energy. We're also on Facebook. I don't know to say more. Those are the social media handles going on the screen right now. We'll be right back.
initiated due process. We created the EFCC and ICPC. We brought Nigeria out of debt by achieving $18 billion worth of relief and $30 billion overall reduction. We revived the rail system. We upgraded agriculture. We brought in the mobile phone and digitalized Nigeria. Under the PDP, the Nigerian economy was the strongest in Africa. Though Nigerians made their choice, today we all know better. Nigerians, do not despair. Hope is the horizon. We are putting in the work and refreshing our drive to rescue and rebuild Nigeria. Together, let's make it happen. PDP. Power to the people.
All right, welcome back. Let's quickly take you through the markets. I will start from how the NGX did end yesterday. Talking about the NGX, which is the Nigerian exchange, the market capitalization of the midweek trade on the floor of the Nigerian exchange increased by about 154 billion naira. That was midweek Wednesday. The all-share index, which closed at 51,729.87 points, we saw that rising by 55 basis points on Wednesday. When I say 55 basis points, what I really mean is 0.55%. So don't just get started with, the words or the English or the jargons that I use. Is just as simple as that. And that gain that we saw yesterday, the 0.55% that you see on the board, can be attributed to significantly buying activity in the industrial goods ticker, which is Abua Cement. The market's breadth also ended Wednesday's session positively, with Thomas Wyatt leading at 26 gainers and Chalaram are leading 12 losers on Wednesday. The value of the stock market was at 28.1 trillion naira, as you can see right there at the end of a market close on Wednesday. The stock market so far has increased by about 134.21 points. That's about 0.26%. If we're taking a look at the YTD, which is the year-to-date return, which is since the beginning of the year till yesterday, the market has gained about 0.26%. Now, if we move over to the money market, the rate stayed at roughly the same levels at about 9.5% and 9.83% respectively. That's talking about the open buyback rate and the overnight rate. Today we may not really see any changes. Analysts are anticipating that interbank rates would stay roughly where they are. On Wednesday, the secondary market for treasury bills was comparatively quiet because attention was focused on the NTB auction. The debt management office did sell about 56.94 billion naira worth of notes at yesterday's treasury bills auction, matching the amount that was offered. The rates for the notes with terms of 91 days, 182 days, and 365 days were set at 2%, 4.33%, and 7.3% respectively. Let's just hold it there. Some of you may just be a bit startled also with what I am saying. For those of you that are, investment savvy, or for those of you that want to invest, you will understand what I'm saying. If you go to your financial advisor, your stockbroker, or even to your bank, you would know what I'm talking about. Okay, you want to invest in government bonds and all of that. Those are the rates, so you should understand. And this year, you should be a bit investment savvy, despite what the government says. Okay, I'll be talking about that during the interview. Let me just hold my fire. But for that, what we saw yesterday, we saw that unsettled bids from the auction will begin to appear on the secondary market perhaps today. We anticipate that seeing aggressive buying interest. Let's see how that will go. Now, for the FGN local bond market, it was largely bullish, though there was sell interest in the 2026 maturities. A bearish performance is still anticipated today. Euro bonds was largely also bullish on Wednesday with widespread activity. Now, Eurobond market, we're expecting that the US CPI report that will be released later today is anticipated to have an impact on the market. Now, for the Naira, the investors and exporters FX window in the middle of the week, which was yesterday, the exchange rate between the Naira and the dollar decreased. That is, the Naira depreciated to about 461 Naira 90 kobo to $1. As at January 10th, FX reserves, talking about the foreign reserves, data from the Central Bank of Nigeria at this morning showed that Nigeria's foreign exchange reserve stands around $37 billion. Now, let's quickly move on to other African folks, our neighbors. Talking about Ghana, the story really there right now in Ghana is that inflation rose to 54%. Yes, you heard me right. 54.1% inflation rate in Ghana. That was the rate according to the Statistics Agency in December 2022. And this is the highest rate so far in 22 years. Food inflation shot up from about 55% to 59%, while non-food inflation rose to about 49.9%. Our inflation rate, I gave you the data earlier, which is around 21%. Analysts are saying that it may really jump to 23%, but let's see what the MBS will come up with. Data from the Central Bank of Kenya. Now, I've moved over to Kenya. Data from the Central Bank of Kenya shows that circulation of hard cash in the economy hit an 8-month low in October of 2022 amid an economic slowdown, increased switch. Because if we're talking about financial inclusion, I think Kenya has really got it right. A lot of people in Kenya, many Kenyans transact their businesses with their mobile phones. Of course, M-Pesa, Safaricom, and the likes of them did spearhead that many years ago. So we're seeing cash in circulation lower in Kenya amid that increased switch to mobile money and mobile money transactions. Now, the data still in Kenya shows that the value of total currency in notes and coins outside banks dropped by about 5.1 billion Kenyan shillings to about 240.4 billion Kenyan shillings in October from 245.5 billion shillings in November. It is the lowest level of the currency in circulation since February of 2022, when 238.5 billion shillings was fiscally circulating within the economy. Now, let's move over to the United States, where stock futures were slightly lower in pre-market trading today as investors await a key inflation report to assess the outlook for the Federal Reserve rate hiking campaign. So all eyes are on December's consumer price index reading, with the consensus forecast calling for a slight easing in price pressures. Let's quickly move over to the European markets. They were a bit higher this Thursday morning, as you can see on the board, indicated by those green arrows that you're seeing right now. Asian Pacific shares were mixed as investors await the key inflation report also from the United States. I did say earlier, when the US sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold. So everyone is talking about US inflation. We're also getting reports that China's consumer price index rises about 1.8% in December, while India's inflation data for December is also slated for release. In Japan, a local newspaper has reported that the Bank of Japan will examine the side effects of monetary easing at its policy meeting next week. Let's see how that goes. All prices are rising in early trade this Thursday, building on gains in the previous session as China's demand outlook improves and concerns rise over the impact of sanctions on Russian supply. Brent crude, as you can see right there, is oscillating around 82, 83. In fact, this morning when I was checking the numbers, $83, but as you can see there, as at 9:45 a.m., it's trading at 82, or it traded at 82 US dollars. Now, the Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak said the country's oil producers have had no difficulties in securing export deals despite Western sanctions and price caps. Price caps was imposed on sales of Russian crude, and that took effect on December 5. Now let's move over to gold. As the dollar weakens, gold prices have risen significantly. However, on a technical level, it's also called the bullion or the yellow metal. The bullion is encountering some kind of resistance near $1,880 an ounce, and it has been consolidating in that range within a few days. I must tell you, I think gold copper. Which other metal is doing well? I can't think. I think there are really 3 metals: gold, copper. When I remember, I'll let you know. But that's it for the markets for now. Let's quickly take a break, and when we return, my guest will be joining me. We'll be talking about achieving your financial goals in 2023. Guys, are you giving me this? Okay. Those are the remaining commodities for you to digest their numbers. Let's quickly take a break, and when we return, my guest will join me. To stay.
Here is a new and refreshing offer for our esteemed audience across the globe. The new AIT Cloud TV is an online streaming service that offers you attractive opportunities to view our rich, exciting, and entertaining programs anytime, anywhere. AIT Cloud TV is available on the web on www.ait.app, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Android TV. You can also download the mobile app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Simply connect to the internet, download the app, register, and watch live or catch up on unlimited hours of exciting shows. AIT Cloud TV. TV on the go.
Hello, and welcome to the program. This is Moneyline with me, Nancy.
So we really have to keep thinking out of the box about how to get money to the least accessible in our society.
Everything has to be re-examined in our economy, in our health system.
We are also ensuring that government does not continue to manage this refinery, because government is not really equipped to manage refinery.
We need to come forward and do something different, so that we move from the situation of looking at things from purely a consumptive approach to a productive environment.
The government and the people need to really agree on the need for a departure.
We are now on the process of recovery. It is what I call a bumpy journey to an uncertain destination.
This is Moneyline with me, Nancy. It's so nice to know that you're joining us again today. All right, welcome back to the program. Millions of people are carrying financial anxiety into 2023 as a result of the last few years. A new year really means new resolutions, new goals. And a lot of people will say that goals are very personal and are determined by your life, the stage at which you're in life, also ambitions, your commitments, and of course your personal finances. People set financial goals to achieve a variety of goals, such as perhaps purchasing a home or other assets, buying a car, for instance, saving for a holiday, or even retiring early, among others. However, as the saying goes, a goal without a plan is just a pipe dream. So what are some tips and tricks for setting goals and sticking to them? I would say that really the principles is that we'll start really by defining what your goals are. Then you'll be better able to develop a plan of action to achieving them. Checking in on your finances and plans is equally crucial to ensure that you are moving in the right direction. My guest is joining me right now. Tosin Olashende, who is the founder of Money Africa. Hello, Tosin. Welcome to the program. Hey, you girl. Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Hi, Nancy. Happy New Year. How are you doing?
I'm great. I hope you're doing well too.
I'm doing well, thank you.
Now let's get started. Tosin, my intro. You know, a lot of people are coming into the new year with so much anxiety. 2022 was a year of hyperinflation in many countries, inflation that they've never seen before. In Ghana, I mentioned 54% in Ghana. The economic situation in Ghana is not even looking good at all. We've also seen inflation in countries that had inflation like 2%, 1%, having it in like 10%, 7%. They've never seen it before. How do you think that, what kind of mindset really, because I think it really starts with a mindset. What kind of mindset do you think that we should bring into 2023 in Nigeria so that you're able to set your financial goals? But I also need to put a caveat that this is a country that 133 million people are multidimensionally poor.
I mean, it's very true, Nancy. Yet last year was very tough. I mean, if you're looking at it, quite a challenging year in terms of the numbers. We're seeing inflation, people losing their jobs, people getting caught in salaries as well. So going to the new year, I think for everyone, one thing is to know that for a lot of the things, they were outside of your control. So we're telling our community members, focus on the things that are within your control. So for instance, you can't change the rate of the naira to the dollar. You can't change the inflation rate. These things are outside of your control. But those that are within your control, that is what you should focus on. And that's the mindset we want to go into in 2023.
Okay, what can one really do this year? What can one really do differently this year so that you can win your money game? So that you can win really with your money, or you can win with your finances.
All right. So, I mean, this year, number one, like we always say, mindset is very key. We want to ensure that we're in a good frame of mind. It's a new year, something to start something new. You know, look at what we've done in the past, like a review, a personal review. What are the expenses we made in the past? What are the ways our income came in the past? We want to thoroughly review it. Did we take everything on the table? Did we leave anything on the table? Did we make the most of those expenses? So I think for everyone, a good way to start the year is to evaluate what happened in the previous year and just really write it down. Where did my money go? How did I spend it? Did it give me joy? You know, what are those expenses that actually I derived benefit from? Now, my source of income, was it from my salary? Did I get any form of investment income? What are the investments I made that did not turn out right? Just basically reviewing the last year is very, very important. Now, once we've done the review, then we're now thinking about next steps. Where are the opportunities? What can we do better? Now, for a lot of people, they're always thinking about how to start something new, how to go in a different path. But you'll be surprised that optimizing might even be the best thing that could ever happen to them, right? Looking at what is currently on their table and saying, did I make the most of it, right? What can I do differently with what I currently have? When we fully maximize that, then we want to start entering new waters and trying to see what else is out there and what can we try differently. So let's start the year with a honest evaluation. I love to say this. You can lie to everybody, but you cannot lie to yourself. Money is very personal, so you have to do that evaluation.
Yeah. Winning really your money game is a personal journey. But Tosin, let me take you back to the question which I asked earlier, because even while I was ruminating over this topic and how I'm going to handle this interview, how our conversation will go, one thing that really pricks my mind was that, oh, Nancy, is this conversation really necessary? Especially in a country where you have 133 million people that are multidimensionally poor. A lot of people are also monetarily poor that live on less than $1.90 a day. So how would you be talking to those people that they can achieve financial security or they can achieve their financial goals in 2023? How can someone that is living on about 1,000 naira a day achieve financial freedom? So I was like, do I really need to talk about this?
Fantastic. And I really love that question. Now, there are two ways for us to look at it. Number one, we can either increase our income, or number two, we can cut down our expenses. For a lot of people that are already poor, to be honest, they are doing the best with what they have. It's less about the expenses. It's more about the income now. So we are asking ourselves, how can I learn a new skill? Let me give you an example, Nancy. There's a lady that helps us on the house. Whenever I have any of those professional outings, somebody comes to the house to sometimes do my makeup, and I see that she's picking interest in these things, right? So learning a new skill, just by her gaining that new skill and marketing it well, will definitely increase her income. So you start asking yourself, what new skill can I gain that I'll be able to charge more for? As an entrepreneur, if you look at within your current workforce, there are some people that will resign from the job and it's nothing, you wouldn't lose sleep. And there are some people that will resign that you know that you will lose sleep because it's hard to replace them. So you're looking for skills that are in demand, skills that if I drop my CV today, what would happen to my employer? Those are the skills that we are thinking about. We're looking for how to build skills that we can then monetize. Now, the thing about building skills is that it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a while, right? And the reason we're having this conversation is talking about financial goals. So this could also fall under those kind of goals, like a short-term goal, a medium-term goal, or a long-term goal. So you're asking yourself, for me to gain that next skill, how much time will I require and what will go into it? So like I made that example of the lady that is, helping us, that now wants to start learning how to do makeup. What is the duration of time that to take her? How will she market, and how will she find new people to start offering that service? So skilling up, right, is what we are actually thinking of. And it does not have to require you going to the four corners of an institution, right? There are other informal ways where people learn about new skills and how to market them.
Tosin, so what exactly are financial goals, really? Let's also be clear.
All right, great.
Yeah, about that.
Let's get into that. So what is a financial goal? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Tosin. Go ahead.
All right, sorry. So what is a financial goal? A financial goal basically is me saying that I want to be able to achieve X, Y, and Z. I want to put pen to paper. I want to be able to detail those thoughts. Now, many people have career goals. They are saying to themselves, oh, I'm currently, let's say, for instance, I'm currently working as an admin person, and in the future, I want to move from admin to sales, or I want my boss's job, or I want to become a manager. People usually have career goals, but not many people have a financial goal. A financial goal is a goal that you want to hit. It's like something towards financial independence when you plan to get there, amongst others. Now, the thing about a financial goal is that it depends from people to people, right? What a 25-year-old is thinking about for a financial goal might differ for a person that is already in their 50s, right? So that goal is very personal. What am I trying to achieve? Where do I see myself in the future in terms of financial resources? And what does that mean to me? So that primarily is what a financial goal is.
Now, what are is there really a guide? Because I like the points that you really differentiated it, and we'll come to those differences later on. But in as much as we all have different financial goals or different objectives which we want to meet, is there really a general guide to achieving your financial goals?
The general guide is this, that a financial goal is a situation whereas your assets can take care of you. That's like the general guide, meaning that if you were to go out of a job, if you were to quit your job, if you were to fall sick in the future, do you have anything that will look after you while you sleep? And that's primarily what a good financial goal is. So that if you are not actively working again, is there something that can take care of you? And that's why financial goals are usually long-term. For a lot of people, they cannot achieve that till like the next 10, 15, or even 20 years. So we're very long-term in nature, thinking about those financial goals. So that financial independence at the end of the day is that, should I take some time off? Should I not want to work? Is there something that is taking care of me? Have I built assets that the returns can actually look after me? So, yeah.
I think that's a very fundamental question which every one of us should ask ourselves this year. That in case you get out of work, are you, or what you have built in the past or what you're currently building, will it be able to take you perhaps till you get your next job, or even in the if you're sick or whatever? In fact, I think there's a saying that says you're just there are some sicknesses that will happen and you are just a step away from poverty. that it will just wipe whatever thing you've made. So I think that's a very important question that we should all ask ourselves this year, that what exactly am I doing right now that can make me be financially independent for a while? What if my boss asks me to go, or even the economic situation is not looking good? A lot of people are downsizing or right-sizing, or you can even decide to quit. Will you be able to sustain yourself for a while? So I think that is one nugget our viewers should go out, should go with at least today and make that very important for themselves. Let's talk about, Tosi, are there other things apart from, okay, you talked about even long-term goals. Are there things that, is there a guide or are there tips, short-term tips that we can, so take us through that.
So that 10 financial goals I want us to look at in 2023. Number one, we call it write it down. There is so much power in writing. There's research that backs it that the people that write down their goals, they have a 60% chance more of achieving those goals than those that do not write it down. It's an image, even better. Your chance of actually go ahead and write it down. Number two, we strongly suggest that you draw up a budget. Right now, many people do not like budgeting because they see it as an enemy, something like a restriction. But I want you to instead see it as something powerful. You get to sit down in charge of your finances. You're saying, with this little that I have, this is how I want it to go. Right now, money is like Vaseline. If you put it under the sun with no plan, it's going to melt. Right, so you have to be very intentional that I'm going to ensure that I put it in the freezer. I'm telling it where to go so that it just does not melt away. Now, number three is that we want to build an emergency fund. What is an emergency fund? An emergency fund is something that I can quickly fall back on should the case anything happens. So let's say somebody falls ill or they lose their job. At least some people will say, oh, we expect you to have 3 months. Some people will say we expect you to have 2 months. It depends from people to people. But what we advocate for is that look at what your current living expense is today, then multiply it by 3 and put it somewhere accessible. So it's not something you put in a stock market or in real estate. It has to be in a bank account, somewhere that you can easily and quickly access it. Now, another goal to look at for in 2023 is actually to start educating yourself about the stock market in the long run. So you're not restricting yourself to just Nigeria. You're looking at both locally and global, and you're educating, you're learning how it works. Another one to also still look at in this year in terms of financial goals are side hustles. Now, this is a very tricky one. Many people keep saying that you don't want to be a jack of all trades and master of none. But we know how the Nigerian market too is. Many people are earning salaries that is not enough to cover their immediate needs. So they might be looking for things to do here and there. So if that's something or if that category you fall under, you can leverage on your existing strength and be able to look for how you could make some income on the side. Tell your friends about it. Tell the people in your church, the people in your mosque. Let them be aware that this is something that you are trying out and you require their support. Now, another one is reading personal finance books, right? Now, there are lots of Nigerian authors now writing about money. Go and pick up their book and read it. Another one you can also read is The Psychology of Money. It's a book by an American author. It's also very, very good. Now, the last but not the list is joining a finance community or accountability. So go and look amongst your friends and ask them, is there anybody that have money as a goal this year, so that you can share knowledge, you can share ideas, you can tell them what you're doing. Just basically somebody to hold you in that journey together, somebody to keep you on track. So these are some of the financial goals you could actually look at in 2023, and don't limit yourself to these ones. There are other ones out there as well that you could also explore.
Yeah. So much to talk about if we want to break each of those goals down, but I will give my viewers the assignment to do that. we've given them at least the general tips. Very important that you need to build an emergency fund. Very important. Let me take our viewers back. 2020, the whole world went on a lockdown. Majority of us survived on emergency funds that were built perhaps over the past few months, over the past few years. So even COVID will give you an idea of why you need to build an emergency fund. Also, perhaps in case of even sickness, in case of you're let out of work or something just happens, you need to survive. So I liked the fact that you talked about that. Also, reading personal finance book. How important is this really? Bearing in mind that we are...
Oh, it's important, Nancy. It's so amazing. It changes. See, you can't reach for what you cannot see, right? So even as a business owner myself, just reading those books about how to manage my finances, there are many business people that all they have is their business. But when you start reading this book and they start telling you about the risk that is involved as well, every 4 business owner in their 4 out of 5 business owners do not make it in the first 5 years. So imagine you don't have anything in your own name. If anything should happen, that's the end. But so just reading these books enlightens you. You see that you're not alone. We always think that our problem is unique to us. But once you start reading and also start speaking to other people, you start to see that, oh my God, we all, actually those problems are more common than we think they are. So it enlightens you, sharpens your mind, shows you different things. It's always a very good one. And now, what do you have to lose? Let's say you pick up this book and there's really nothing interesting. Put it away and pick up another one, right? So you really have nothing to lose by investing and reading these books. They are very helpful.
Yeah, it's very helpful because I also tell people sometimes, okay, now you can actually even read on your phones because there are also audio books. It mustn't even be a physical book. And at least take a look at, invest in resources. Watch programs like mine. Tosi, I thought you were going to say that too. And that is why I'm doing a show like this.
Yes, we built a community for Africans. We want to take Africans towards financial independence. Come and watch our program. Come and join our community, Listen to personal finance experts talk about money and how to get there.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I learned late 2022, though I had known about it, but it just got reinforced in me that a closed mouth is a closed destiny, because you need sometimes to speak because you don't know. The next person may just have that solution which you're looking for. It may be as little as nothing, but you just sometimes need to speak out and you need to say, have a community. These are the kind of problems I'm having right now. Who can really support me? You really do not have anything to lose because a lot of people, share the same challenges or share the same problems. They may have 1 or 2 solutions that they can offer you. So thank you for saying that. Now let's take a look at the different age ranges which you mentioned earlier, and I want us to break it down now because in certain financial goals we should take into cognizance where you are at right now in life. We have different ranges as we have it right now. I think we have the different generations. We have the silent generations, those 1901 to what, but those people now, we are not talking about them. We have the baby boomers, we have the Gen Z, we have the Gen X, we have the Gen Y, Gen Z or iGen. Which other generations do we have? So many of them, you understand?
About the Alpha, the Gen Alpha.
But you understand what I mean? About 6 generations now. The iGens, I think those born between 2001 and 2022, the millennials, the baby boomers and all of that. What kind of financial goals should this kind of people set? Because if you have someone like in your 20s right now, your financial goals will be different. You have perhaps more years to plan for your retirement not compared to someone like 45 or 50. Some years ago, I had a man that came to me and he just had 1 year to retire from the civil service. And he came to me and said, Nancy, I'm going to retire in some months and I don't have anything backup plan. And I was looking at him. I felt so sorry. I was like, what? But you see that a lot of people are in that position too. So let's break it down.
Fantastic. So now we have age ranges and financial goals. We have 3 main categories, and the purpose of us having these categories is because of the peculiarity of each of those people. Now, the first one we're looking at are people between the ages of 25 to 45. Now you're like, oh my gosh, that's 20, people between there's a 20-year gap between the youngest and the oldest, but there's a reason. In this gap, their primary job is to be able to get into the highest income bracket as possible. Now, it gets really interesting. You'll be surprised. There are many people in their 30s that are already at the peak of their career, and there's no guarantee that they will surpass that level for some reasons that we cannot even explain. So get into that bracket as soon as you can. That is your primary job. From the ages of 25 to 45, you're young, you have vitality, you have time, you're learning skills, you're going up and you're climbing that ladder, and you want to get into it as soon as you can. Now, why is this important? Doing so early makes the path to financial freedom shorter. So the more you can earn as early as you can, go ahead and do it. Now, a lot of people will say things like, oh, my 20s are for chilling and then my 40s are for working. We always advocate that if you can put in the work now and get on that ladder as soon as you can, do it. It just means that should you choose to retire earlier than 65, you would be able to. So we strongly advocate going up that ladder, learning that skill, trying to, be so good at what you do that you can get to the top of your career between those ages, so that you are closer towards financial freedom. Now, the next category are people between the ages of 45 to 60. Now, it gets really interesting. People between this age group, should they have children? You see that their children are now in secondary school. Some of them, when they are retiring, might still have some children in university, right? So in this part of the segment, we are now looking at what? Wealth creation, right? We're looking at wealth consolidation. We are consolidating the wealth together. We're putting the pieces together. We're putting the blocks together. We're letting it submerge, right? If you are in this category and you happen to be a middle class, I would even say go ahead and speak to a financial expert. You have about 15 years to consolidate that wealth together. So if you can get an expert to also come on board and guide you, that would be great. So you have one job in this phase, is consolidation. And remember, we spoke about children. For those that still have children that might be in secondary school, or because now we see that times are changing, people are having the children much later. So these children might be in university, they might be in secondary school, so that when you are consolidating, you're also putting them into account, right, towards that time that you're hitting your 60s. Fantastic. Now we have the other category. These are people between the ages of 60 and above. They have one job, and that is passing the wealth to the next generation. Now, there's a research that states that 70% of the people that have wealth do not pass it to the next generation. Imagine you working so hard and now you have your children and they're just not able to keep that money. Somebody tweeted the other time that her father had gotten a house from his own father, right? And he drank it to stupor. He sold the money, he sold the house, gambled, and the children are now struggling with school fees and things like that. What that father has done is he's now going to make the children start from scratch. He was not able to consolidate on the work that his father did and pass it on to his own children. Now, these children are going to have to start from scratch again and start building wealth. And every time you break that process, you are not able to pass generational wealth to the next one. So while you are consolidating, building wealth, don't forget to carry your children along. Start early. They're not too young. By the age of 7, children have started, their mindset about money is getting formed. Don't isolate them in the process, so that when you are passing the money to them, they will be able to pass that baton to the next generation as well. So that's primarily how we're looking at the goals and things like that. And most importantly, I want us to start thinking of joy when we think of money, right? Things have been quite hard. People have gone through really tough times. People have struggled and things like that. But I want us to change how we see it. I want us to see it as freedom, as liberty, as something that you are attracting, right? I want us to have the conversation more wholesome, in a wholesome manner. And we start having these talks. Things like life insurance. If you're between the ages of 45 to 60, you should get a life insurance. If anything happens, the children's school fees and things like that is taken care of. But we run away from it because of, religion, mindset. People are afraid. Even talking about wills. My parents are in their mid-60s, and the will conversation is still a bit tough. Like, if anything happens, where would you like to be buried? Oh, they don't want to hear it. They're running away.
Okay, totally.
So culture, religion, everything sort of plays a role, and we should just break that stereotype and just have those conversations. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you hear me, Nancy?
Yes, I can hear you, and thank you very much for this insights this morning, Tosin. You've hit many nerves, and I hope that our viewers can take a few things from what you've said. Thank you very much, Tosin, for joining us. I've been speaking with Tosin Olashainde, who is the founder, Money Africa, on achieving your financial goals for 2023. I'll see you soon, Tosin. That's it for us today. It's a wrap. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Be the best you can be, and be the change that you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. Bye now.
Let's take an economist, Dr. Paul Alaje, who is sending in this question from Lagos.
Your Excellency, there is no economy without energy. Between 2016 to 2022, Nigerians are now paying more for energy. Even before Putin occupied Ukraine, the electricity significantly increased. The cost of PMS has also increased. What are you going to do to help Nigeria? President started intervention in power sector. Olusegun Obasanjo started intervention in power sector. President Yar'Adua, President Jonathan, and now President Buhari, they all have tried their bit, but power seems to be stubborn. How do you intend to overcome darkness in Nigeria and once and for all give Nigeria stable,